Madam, what did you put in his food?
They wanted a child so badly they invited a stranger into their lives. But what happens when the help you prayed for becomes the danger you feared? You're watching African Tales Magic, bringing timeless African tales to your screen. Hit that subscribe button and never miss a story. Thank you. Uzo and Amarachi lived in a small cozy house on a quiet street. The walls were painted white and there was a big mango tree in the front yard. Its branches gave shade on hot days. Uzo was a tall man with strong arms. Amarachi was kind and gentle, with long hair and a warm smile. They had been married for 8 years and loved each other very much. But their hearts were sad because they had no child. Every month, they hoped for good news. Amarachi would take a pregnancy test, her hands shaking. When it showed negative, she would cry. Uzo would hold her close and say, "Don't worry, my love. It will happen one day." They went to many doctors. The doctors did tests and gave medicines, but nothing worked. They tried herbal teas from the market made from leaves and roots. They prayed every Sunday at church, kneeling for hours, but still no baby came. Nights were worse. The house was silent except for the sound of crickets outside. Amarachi would lie in bed staring at the dark ceiling. Tears would roll down her cheeks. Uzo would hold her hands tightly and whisper, "We will be okay. God has a plan." But deep inside, they both felt empty. The pressure came from family and friends. It never stopped. At family gatherings, like birthdays or festivals, everyone asked about children. Uzo's mother, a short woman with grey hair, would pull him to the side. "Uzo, my son," she would say in a sharp voice, "when will you give me grandchildren? Your brothers have many kids running around. What is wrong with you and Amarachi?" Uzo would look down and say, "Mama, we are trying," but her words hurt like a knife. Amarachi's aunts were no better. They whispered behind her back at the market or during visits. "A woman without a child is like a tree without fruit," one aunt would say. "She must be doing something wrong." They suggested hold remedies. "Eat these special leaves every morning," another aunt said, handing her a bag. Some even said mean things like, "Maybe Amarachi is cursed." Amarachi heard and felt deep pain in her heart. Friends made it harder too. At weddings or parties, people would joke, "Amarachi, when is your turn to have a baby? We want to dance at the naming ceremony." They laughed, but Uzo and Amarachi forced smiles. Inside, they felt broken. The neighbors gossiped as well. From their windows, they watched the quiet house. Poor couple, they said. No sound of children playing. No laughter in the yard. The pressure felt like a heavy bag on their shoulders, getting heavy each day. One hot afternoon, Uzo's uncle came to visit. He was an old man with a pot belly and a loud voice. He sat in the living room on the soft couch, drinking wine from a glass cup. "Uzo," he said loudly, "a man needs hair to carry his name. If Amarachi can't give you one, think about other options. You know what I mean." Amarachi was in the kitchen making tea. She heard every word. Tears fell into the pot as she stared. Uzo defended her. "Uncle, Amarachi is my wife. We will find a way together." But the words stuck in their mind like thorns. They tried more things. More doctors in the city. More prayers at night. They even fasted for days, eating nothing but water. But nothing changed. Finally, after a big family meeting at Uzo's parents' house, they felt very tired. Everyone talked about their problem like it was a village issue. "We can't take this anymore," Uzo said to Amarachi as they drove home. "The questions, the looks, it's just too much." A friend from work told Uzo about surrogacy. It was a new idea, strange but full of hope. Surrogacy meant another woman would carry their baby using their own egg and sperm. They read about it in books and on the phone. "It could work," Amarachi said. her eyes bright for the first time in months. They decided to try it, hoping it would end the pressure and bring peace to their home. They went to the clinic in the big city. The building was tall with shiny glass windows. Inside, it smelled clean like soap. Kind nurses in white uniforms smiled at them. The doctor was a gentleman with glasses and a calm voice. He sat behind the desk and explained everything slowly. Surrogacy is safe, he said. We will take your egg, Amarachi, and Uzo's sperm and put them together. Then the surrogates will carry the baby for 9 months. He introduced them to Amaka. She was a young woman, 24 years old, with a soft smile and calm eyes. Her hair was braided neatly and she wore a simple dress. Amaka is healthy and ready to help, the doctor said. She has done tests and everything is good, but she needs to be watched closely. Pregnancy can be hard and the stress is bad for the baby. Amaka nodded shyly as the doctor added, she will receive 4 million naira for her service, half before the procedure and the rest after the delivery. It's a fair amount for her sacrifice and it will help her start a new life afterward. Amaka lived in a small town 2 hours away by bus. The doctor, worried about her traveling so far for checkups, it's best she stays near the hospital, he said. Maybe she can live with you for a few months. That way you can help each other. Amarachi looked at Uzo. Her heart was big and full of kindness. She felt for Amaka, who was alone. We can't let her struggle, she said. Uzo nodded. She's helping us so much. Let's help her too. They welcomed Amaka into their home that week. At first, it was a happy time. The house smelt of jollof rice, stew, and fresh bread. They laughed over meals at the wooden table. Amaka shared stories from her town, and they played soft music on the radio. They talked about baby names. Amaka was grateful. Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir, she said every day. Amarachi brought her soft clothes and pillow for rest. Uzo worked long hours at the office but came on with fruits and a big smile, excited about the baby. But something small was growing like a tiny crack in a strong wall. No one saw it yet. It was quiet, like a shadow, waiting to spread and cover everything. Weeks passed, and Amaka settled into the house like it was her own. She walked around freely, humming songs as she swept the floor with a broom. She started cooking Uzo's favorite meals without asking. Pounded yam with egusi soup one day, pepper soup with goat meat the next day. Sir, I know you like it spicy, she said, serving him a plate with a wide smile. Her eyes sparkled when he ate. Amarachi noticed these things but tried to stay kind. She's just being helpful, she told herself in the mirror one morning. But Amaka's help felt different now. She ironed Uzo's shirts every day, folding them perfectly and placing them on his bed. She laughed at his jokes a little too loudly, her hands touching her belly. One evening, as Uzo told a funny story from work, Amaka said, Sir, that blue shirt makes you look so handsome. Her eyes stayed on him longer than needed. Uzo chuckled and said, Thank you, Amaka. But Amarachi's stomach tightened like a knot. At night, Amarachi lay in bed next to Uzo, her thoughts racing like a fast river. Why does she act like that? She wondered. Is she trying to take my place? She wanted to talk to Uzo about it, but he was always tired from work. His eyes were heavy as he lay down. Amaka is just being friendly, he said when she finally brought it up one night. She's pregnant with our child. Don't think bad things. Amarachi swallowed her worry, not wanting to seem jealous or mean. Amaka watched everything in the house carefully. She saw how Uzo loved Amarachi's smile, how he kissed her forehead every morning. She noticed when he got annoyed if house was messy, like the dishes pile up. She saw Amarachi's soft spots too, like how she cried quietly in the bathroom when she thought no one was around. Amaka learned their habits, how they fought over little things like money, but always made up with hugs. She saw their love strong like a mango tree. One morning, Amarachi couldn't find her store keys. She searched everywhere. the kitchen table, a bag, and even under the bed. She was frustrated and late for the market. Amaka found them under a couch cushion in the living room. Madam, maybe you dropped them here, she said sweetly, holding them out. Amarachi frowned but took them. Thank you, she said, but inside she thought, I never put them there. Amaka twisted words too like a vine wrapping around a tree. If Amarachi told Uzo, I am tired today from cleaning, Amaka would say to him later, Madam says she's tired of cooking for you all the time. Uzo would look confused but shake his head and brush it off. Amarachi didn't mean that, he would say. One afternoon, Amaka went further with her tricks. She saw Amarachi's favorite necklace on the dressing table, a thin gold chain with a heart pendant that Uzo gave her on their wedding day. It was shiny and special. Amaka picked it up when no one was looking and hid it in her room under her pillow. Later, when Amarachi looked for it to wear to a friend's house, she panicked. Uzo, my necklace is gone. Have you seen it? She cried, her voice high. They searched the house together. Uzo checked the bedroom, Amarachi the kitchen. Even Amaka joined in, acting worried. Madam, did you wear it outside yesterday? She asked, her face full of fake concern. After an hour of looking, Amaka found it in the kitchen drawer among the spoons. Here it is. Maybe it fell in here somehow, she said, handing it over. Amarachi was relieved and hugged it to her chest. Thank God, she said, but a small doubt crept into her mind. I didn't put it in there. I know I didn't. The drama built up more. Amaka started to complain softly to Uzo when Amarachi wasn't around. Sir, Madam seems angry with me these days, she said, her eyes looking down at the ground. I tried to help with the chores, but she doesn't like it. Maybe I'm a burden. Uzo patted her shoulder gently. Don't worry, Amaka. You are doing good. We appreciate you. Amarachi overheard from the window and felt a sharp hurt in her chest. That night, she argued with Uzo in their bedroom. Why do you comfort her like that? She's taking my place in this house. Her voice was loud, her eyes wet. Uzo sighed and rubbed his forehead. You're being too sensitive, Amarachi. She's pregnant with our child. We need to be kind to her. Amaka smiled secretly from her room, hearing the fight through the tin walls, but she wanted more. One day, it was Amarachi's turn to cook dinner. Amaka helped by stirring the pots while Amarachi was outside. She turned the fire too high on purpose and the food burned black and smoky. When Uzo came from work, the house smelled bad. Amaka said, Sir, Madam was distracted today with phone calls. Uzo ate quietly, his face disappointed. Amarachi defended herself. I didn't burn it. I let it on low fire. But Uzo just nodded and said nothing. Amaka's streak got bolder every week. She spilled water on Amarachi's new dress while helping with the laundry and then said, Oh, sorry. It was an accident. Amarachi washed it, but a big stain stayed. At a small family visit for Uzo's birthday, Amaka wore a similar dress and stood close to Uzo the whole time. Relative noticed and whispered, Amaka looks so happy here. She fits in well. Amarachi felt like crying but held it in until everyone left. She felt like a stranger in her own home. She saw Uzo smile at Amaka's cooking and it hurt deeply. He never smiles like that for my food anymore, she thought. She tried to talk to him again, but he was always busy with work calls. Amaka is just helping us, he said. She's pregnant. Be kind, Amarachi. Amaka played the innocent role perfectly. When Amarachi got upset, Amaka would look sad, her eyes big and teary like a child's. Uzo felt sorry for her every time. He started to take side with Amaka more in small ways, like praising her cleaning. The house filled with arguments now. One big fight happened over money. Amarachi wanted to buy baby clothes from the market, tiny shirts and hats. But Uzo said, wait a bit, we need to save. Amaka whispered to Uzo later, Sir, Madam spends too much on things we don't need yet. Uzo got angry at Amarachi that night. You see, Even Amaka notices how you spend. Amarachi thought alone in the bathroom, the water running to hide her sobs. Something is wrong here, she thought, but I can't prove it. No one believes me. Amaka's heart grew darker with each success, as small mischiefs were working, but she wanted a big win to break them apart. Her jealousy turned into a strong one like hunger that never ends, but her true feelings stay hidden like a snake in the grass waiting to strike. Uzo worked hard every day from morning to evening. He kept 500,000 naira in a brown envelope in his office drawer at home. It was for a big order of new parts. One day, Uzo and Amarachi went to the market together to buy food. Amaka offered to stay and clean the house. I want to help, sir, she said with a smile. When they were gone, the house was quiet. Amaka went to the study, a small room with books on shelves and papers on the desk. She opened the drawer slowly, her heart beating fast like a drum. There was the envelope, thick with money. She took it and slipped it into Amarachi's wardrobe in the bedroom under a pile of folded clothes. Then she dusted the room and acted normal, sweeping the floor. Later that afternoon, she stood near Uzo in the kitchen, looking nervous, her hands twisted together like she was worried. Uzo noticed as he drank water. Amaka, why do you look so worried? He asked kindly. She bit her lip and looked away. Sir, I don't want Madame to be angry, but I saw her in your study earlier today. She was looking for something in the drawer. Uzo trusted Amarachi completely. Maybe she needed a pen or paper, he said, smiling. He didn't think much of it and he went back to reading his newspaper. That evening, Uzo needed the money to pay his supplier. He opened the drawer. It was empty. His heart sank like a stone in water. He called Amarachi from the kitchen. Did you move the envelope from my drawer? The one with money. Amarachi's eyes widened in surprise. No, why would I touch your money? I know it's for work. Amaka stood in the corner pretending to sweep the floor with a broom. Uzo searched the house everywhere. He checked shelves in the living room, boxes in the store, even under the sofa cushions. Finally, he opened Amarachi's wardrobe to look for something else. There was the envelope, hidden under her dresses. Amarachi gasped loudly. I didn't put it there. Uzo, you know me. I would never steal from you. Uzo's face showed doubt for the first time. He held the envelope tightly, his jaw tight. How did it get here then? He said quietly, with his voice low. I don't know. Amarachi's voice broke and tears filled her eyes. Please believe me. Amaka stayed silent, her face blanked like she knew nothing. That night, Amaka listened outside their bedroom door in the dark. She heard Amarachi cry. How could you think I stole from you? After all these years? Uzo said, I don't know what to think anymore. Just sleep. We'll talk tomorrow. Amaka smiled in the dark, her teeth showing. But the next day, Uzo sat with Amarachi at breakfast. He held her hand. I'm sorry, he said. Maybe I dropped it in there by mistake when I was probably putting away clothes. I trust you, my love. He hugged her tightly and they kissed. Amaka's smile faded when she saw them. Her plan had failed again. Uzo still loved Amarachi more than anything. In her room, she clenched her feet so hard. He believes her? She thought angrily. After everything I did? One sunny afternoon, a prophet named Stanley saw Uzo at the busy market surrounded by the chatter of vendors and the sweet smell of ripe mangoes. He wore a flowing white robe, his face calm and wise, holding a worn Bible in his hand. He approached Uzo near the fruit stand where Uzo was picking out oranges. My son, Stanley said in a deep, soothing voice, may I have a moment? The Lord has placed you on my heart today. Uzo looked up, curious but cautious, clutching his bag of oranges. Me? Why? He asked, his brow furrowed. Stanley smiled warmly, his eyes glinting with practiced sincerity. God showed me things, young man. I see you're a man of hard work, running an auto-mechanical outfit, yes? Selling car parts and providing for your home. Uzo's eyes widened slightly. How did this stranger know? Stanley continued. his voice steady and kind. And I see joy coming to you soon. A child, a blessing. You're an expecting father, ain't you? The Lord has shown me a baby in your future, a strong child to carry your name. Uzo's heart softened at the mention of a child, his deepest hope. He stepped closer, his guard lowering. You saw that? How did you know about my work and the baby? Stanley placed a gentle hand on Uzo's shoulder, his touch firm but comforting. The Spirit speaks to those who listen, my son. I've seen your heart's desires, your prayers with your wife for a child. God has heard you. He paused, letting his words sink, then lowered his voice as if sharing a sacred secret. But I must warn you, the Lord also showed me a shadow, your wife. She carries darkness in her heart. It could bring harm to you and the blessing you await. Be careful, my son. Watch her closely. Uzo frowned, stepping back slightly. My wife? No, Amarachi is good and loving. You must be wrong. But Stanley's word about his work and the baby had planted a seed of trust, making Uzo hesitate. The prophet's calm certainty felt like truth, even if it stung. Stanley sensed Uzo's doubt and pressed on gently. I understand, my son. It's hard to hear, but God's warnings are for your protection. Here, he said, pulling a small card from his robe with his name and phone number scrawled on it. Take this. Call me if you need guidance or if the Spirit reveals more. I'm here to help you walk in God's path. Uzo took the card, his fingers lingering on it. The mention of a baby? So specific. Thank you, he said quietly, slipping the card into his pocket. I'll think about what you said. You can also have my card and reach me on the numbers on the card. Stanley slid the card in his robe's trouser. Stanley said softly, his face solemn, Pray on it, my son. God's truth will show itself. He turned and walked away, blending into the market crowd, leaving Uzo standing among the fruit stands, his mind swelling with hope and unease. A few days later, Amarachi was cooking dinner in the kitchen, vegetable stew with yam. The pot bubbled on the stove. She stepped out quickly to get onions. Amaka saw a chance. She took a small bottle of powder from her bag. She sprinkled it on his plate and stirred it well. At dinner, everyone sat at the table. Uzo took a bite from his plate. Suddenly, he coughed hard. His face turned red and sweat poured down. He clutched his chest. What's happening? He gasped, dropping his spoon. Amaka screamed, Jesus! Sir, are you okay? Madam, what did you put in this food? Amarachi dropped her spoon in shock. What? I ate from the same pot. Nothing is wrong with it. She ran to Uzo, touching his face. Uzo, breathe. Let me get water. Amaka shouted louder, but he's only sick from his plate. Look, ours is fine. Neighbors heard the noise and came running. They helped carry Uzo to the car. They rushed him to the hospital in the city. The doctor examined him in a white room. It's food contamination, she said. He'll be okay after some medicine, but he needs to rest for a few days. The next morning, the prophet Stanley called Uzo at home. Good morning, my son. I had a vision last night. You ate from your wife's hand and blood came from your mouth. God says she's blocking your destiny with bad things. Please be careful. Uzo's heart raced fast. It was too close to what happened the night before. He thanked Stanley and hung up, his hands shaking. He sat on the bed thinking. When he got home from a short walk, Amaka acted strange. She avoided his eyes, looking at the floor while serving tea. What's wrong, Amaka? Uzo asked. She whispered, Sir, I'm scared to say this. I've seen things in this house. Madame is kind, but sometimes she acts strange. Please be careful. Uzo's mind spun like a wheel. He thought of the missing money, the bad food, Stanley's word. That night, he couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, replaying Amarachi's shocked face in his mind. Before we dive back in, make sure to subscribe to African Tales Magic. More powerful tales await. Now let's return back to the story. A few days later, Amaka saw another chance to deepen Uzo's doubts. While Amarachi was at the market, Amaka slipped into the bedroom she shared with Uzo. She had a small fetish charm, a tiny bundle of red cloth tied with black thread. Amaka placed it carefully inside Amarachi's favorite handbag, the one she used daily, tucking it into a side pocket where it would be easily noticed. She made sure it looked like it had been there for a while, slightly crumbled among receipts and a comb. That evening, Uzo needed to take some documents to his office. As he rummaged through it, his fingers brushed against the strange bundle. He pulled it out, his eyes narrowing at the unfamiliar object. The red cloth and the black thread looked ominous, like something from the village shrine his mother had warned him about as a child. His heart pounded as Stanley's word echoed in his mind. Your wife carries darkness. She could bring harm. Uzo confronted Amarachi in the living room that evening, holding the fetish charm in his trembling hand. What is this, Amarachi? He asked, his voice low and heavy with suspicion. I found it in your bag. Are you trying to hurt me with this? With the food and now this? My own wife hiding charms in my house? Amarachi's eyes widened in horror as she stared at the bundle. Tears filled her eyes. Uzo, I've never seen that before. I swear, I don't know how it got there. Her voice rose, desperate. How can you think I would do something like this? I love you. I would never harm you. She reached out, but he stepped back, clutching the charm tightly. You're listening to lies from somewhere, she shouted, her hands trembling. Someone is doing this to me. To us. Uzo saw her anger and tears, but the charm in his hand felt like proof of Stanley's warnings. His heart broke into pieces, torn between love and fear. I don't know what to believe anymore, he said loudly, his voice cracking. But this is too much. You need to leave this house, Amarachi. Just for now, until I can think clearly. Amarachi's sobs filled the room as she packed a small bag with clothes and a gold necklace, the one Uzo had given her on their wedding day. She looked back at him, her eyes pleading, but his face was hard, shadowed by doubt. She left the house, the mango tree swaying in the wind behind her as she walked away, her heart shattered. Amarachi took a bus to her family's village, where her parents and younger sister Chika lived in a modest compound with a tin roof and a small garden of yam and vegetables. The air smelled of herbs and smoked fish from her mother's cooking. When Amarachi arrived, her mother, a stout woman with a kind face, hugged her tightly. My daughter, you're home, she said. What happened? Amarachi felt like her world had crumbled to dust. She cried in her mother's arms for hours, telling her everything, Uzo's doubts and her broken heart. Her father, a quiet man with graying hair, listened and shook his head. Men can be blind sometimes, he said. Chika, her sister, held her hand and said, You're safe here, Amarachi. We will take care of you. Every morning, Amarachi walked through the village, passing children playing under palm trees and women carrying baskets to the market. The familiar sights calmed her, but her heart ached. How did this happen? She whispered to herself. I was innocent, but he didn't believe me. She missed her home, a soft bed, Uzo's laugh. Her family helped her heal. They cooked together, pounded yam, vegetable soup, and her favorite egusi soup. Chika braided her hair, and her mother told her stories of their ancestors to lift her spirits. You're stronger than this pain, her mother said. Give him time. Truth always comes out. 2 weeks later, Amarachi felt sick every morning. Her stomach turned and she couldn't eat breakfast. She went to a small clinic in the village where an old nurse with a warm smile did a test. You're pregnant, she said. About 6 weeks. Amarachi's heart leaped with joy. A baby? A dream come true. But Uzo wasn't with her to share it. She sat on a wooden bench outside the clinic, touching her belly gently. Should I tell him? She thought. No, he didn't trust me. He sent me away. I need to be strong for my baby now. She decided to focus on herself. She ate well, taking fruits and vegetables. She rested in the afternoons under the shade of a guava tree and prayed every evening at the family's small altar. Her mother bought her vitamins and Chika made her laugh with silly dances. But the pain stayed like a heavy stone in her chest. That night, she dreamed of Uzo holding their child, but woke up all alone. Weeks passed. Amarachi's belly grew a little. She helped her mother sew clothes for the village women to keep busy. This baby will have a good life, with or without him, she told Chika. With Amarachi gone, Amaka felt like a queen in the house. She walked through the rooms, touching the white walls, the soft curtains, the wooden chairs. She told the house help Joy to cook certain meals like fried plantain. She wore Amarachi's earrings and even her dresses, looking at herself in full mirror. This is mine now, she thought. But Uzo wasn't the same man. He ate his meal quietly at the table, his eyes far away as if he was thinking of someone else. He worked late at his office every day, coming home after dark when the stars were out. He barely spoke to Amaka, even though she carried his child. He said good morning and thank you, but nothing more. Amaka sat alone one night in the living room, the house silent except for the clock ticking. I won, she thought. Amarachi is gone. But why don't I feel happy? Why doesn't he look at me with love? The house felt cold now, like the joy had left with Amarachi. No more laughter filled the room. Uzo stayed out until midnight at times, saying he had work. Amaka tried to make things better. She bought new curtains for the window, lit scented candles that smelled like flowers, and cooked big meals every day. But Uzo ate quickly and left the table without a word. One evening, she made his favorite pepper soup with fish. Sir, I made it just for you. Extra spicy, she said, smiling as she served the meal. Thank you, Uzo said, not looking up from his phone. He ate half and pushed the plate away. Amaka's heart sank deep. She felt alone, even with Joy the house help coming to help. At night, she lay awake, hearing the crickets outside the window. What did I do wrong? She thought. I got rid of her, but he's farther away. At her next clinic visit, Amaka sat in the waiting room on a hard bench. She saw couples holding hands, men touching their wives' bellies with gentle love. One man whispered to his wife, Our baby will be beautiful like you. The wife laughed softly and kissed his cheek. Amaka looked down at her test card in her lap. No one sat with her. No one held her hand. No one asked how she felt. Tears burned her eyes, but she blinked them away. This is not what I wanted, she thought. That night, she couldn't hold her pain in anymore. She knocked on Uzo's door softly. He opened it, looking tired in his pajamas. Sir, why don't you talk to me anymore? She asked, her voice shaking like a leaf. Uzo rubbed his eyes. There's nothing to say, Amaka. Good night. But I am carrying your child, she said, almost crying. Doesn't that mean anything? He sighed deeply. Don't remind me. He closed the door gently but firmly. Amaka stood there in the hallway, her heart breaking into pieces. She felt like a shadow in her own victory, invisible and unwanted. The next day, Amaka called her friend Chidima on the phone. They met at a small tea shop. Amaka poured out her pain, tears on her face. He doesn't see me. I'm nothing to him, even with the baby. Chidima leaned close, her voice low. There's a native doctor in the village. He can make any man love you with charms. I've seen it work for others. Amaka hesitated, scared of such things, but she felt desperate like a drowning person. She took a bus to a dusty village far away, bumping on bad roads. The native doctor's house was small, with a tin roof and herbs hanging from the ceiling outside. The old man had deep eyes, wrinkled skin, and a quiet voice. He sat on a mat. Tell me your trouble, he said. Amaka explained everything. Her jealousy, her tricks with the money and the food, her want for Uzo's love. She cried as she spoke. The man listened without smiling or judging. You cannot force love, he said slowly. It comes from the heart. But if you insist, I can help you. He gave her a small black charm wrapped in red clothes and white thread. It felt warm in her hand. Tonight, when the moon is high, put this under his pillow. Say his name 3 times and say, Uzo, from now, see or think of no other person but me. Amaka nodded, her hands shaking. He wondered sternly, if your heart is not clean, the gods will choose their punishment. Think well, my daughter. She left quickly, the charm heavy in her bag like a stone. The bus ride back felt long. That night, Uzo came home early for once. He looked exhausted, his shirt wrinkled from work. He ate rice quickly at the table and went to the bed without saying much. Amaka waited until the house was completely silent. The moon shone bright through the window, lighting the floor. She held the charm tightly, her heart pounding loud. Please love me, she whispered. See me as your wife. She tiptoed towards Uzo's room in the dark. Her bare feet were cold on the tile floor. She reached his door, turned the handle slowly, but then, boom! A crash. Glass shattered from the living room window. Men shouted, Where is the money? Quick! 3 robbers burst in, their faces covered with black clothes. They had knives and bags. Amaka screamed loud, frozen in fear. Uzo ran out of his room, confused and half asleep. One robber grabbed Amaka's arm, pulling her hard. Shut up, woman! Another slapped her face hard. She fell backward, her belly hitting the sharp edge of a wooden stool. Pain shot through her like hot fire. She screamed again, clutching her stomach. Blood started to flow and stained her dress. Uzo shouted, Leave her alone. He pushed one robber away, but they hit him on the head with a stick. He fell dazed. The robbers grabbed expensive valuables, some cash from Uzo's wallet, and ran out as the neighbors started banging on the gates and shouting. Uzo got up, his head bleeding a little. He lifted Amaka carefully, his hands shaking. Hold on, Amaka, he said. He drove her to the hospital, the car speeding through the dark and empty streets. Horns blazed as he passed. At the hospital, nurses in uniform rushed her to a bright room on a stretcher. Uzo waited at the corridor, pacing back and forth. His shirt was wet with sweat and blood. He prayed silently. God, please save her and the baby. Hours passed like forever. A nurse came out, her face sad and tired. She's stable now, she said, but she lost the baby. I'm sorry. Uzo sank into a plastic chair, his face in his hands. Tears fell. It felt like the world was falling apart around him. In the ward, Amaka woke up slowly. Her body ached all over. A doctor stood by her bed. The baby, she asked weakly. The nurse shook her head gently. I'm sorry. The fall was too much. Amaka's cry echoed through the hospital, sharp and broken like glass. She sobbed for hours, alone in the bed. Days later, they came home in a taxi. The house was quiet, like a graveyard with no life. Uzo helped her inside, holding her arm, his face blank. He cooked chicken soup for her and brought it to her room. Eat this, he said. His eyes were empty, like he had no feelings left. Amaka tried to talk. Sir, I'm sorry for everything, she said weakly. It was not your fault there. Let's not talk now, Uzo said softly as he left the room. That night, he slept in the guest room. Amaka sat in the living room alone till the next day. She felt nothing but emptiness inside. The following day, Uzo and Amaka went to the police station to report the robbery. The station was noisy, with people shouting complaints and officers writing reports on old desks. Fans spun slowly on the ceiling. While Uzo gave his statement to an officer sitting on a bench, he heard a familiar voice from another room. You can't arrest me. I'm a man of God. When Uzo turned to look, it was Stanley arguing loudly with a policeman. Uzo stood up and ran over. Leave that man of God alone, he shouted. The officers laughed hard. Man of God? This man is a fraud. We caught him scamming people with fake visions and taking their money. He's been doing it for years. Uzo's mouth dropped open in shock. His mind raced, remembering all of Stanley's warning about Amarachi. Then shortly, Stanley saw Amaka standing behind Uzo and shouted desperately, Madam, you're here too? Please tell them I'm innocent. Amaka's face turned white like paper. She stepped back. I don't know him. I've never seen this man, she said with her voice high. Stanley was desperate to save himself. He pointed at her. You don't know me? She paid me to lie to you, sir, he told Uzo. She gave me money to say your wife was evil, to make you send her away. It was all a plan. The station felt quiet immediately. Everyone stopped talking and stared. Uzo looked at Amaka, his eyes wide with horror. Is this true? He asked slowly. Amaka knelt on the floor, her hands covering her face as tears streamed down her cheek. Her neat braids were slightly undone, and her dress was wrinkled from the chaos of the morning. Uzo stood before her, his eyes wide with shock and betrayal, waiting for her to speak. The officer beside her crossed his arms, his pen tapping impatiently against the notepad. Stanley, the fake prophet, was still shouting from the other room, but the focus was now on Amaka. She took a shaky breath, her voice barely above a whisper at first. Sir, I'm so sorry. I never meant it to go this far. I swear it on my life. I didn't want anyone to get hurt. Her hands trembled as she lowered them, revealing red, swollen eyes. But I can't lie anymore. My heart is too heavy. I need to tell you everything. Uzo's jaw tightened, but he stayed silent, his gaze fixed on her. The weight of his stare made her chest ache, and she forced herself to continue. When I first came to your house, she began, her voice cracking. I was so grateful. You and Madame welcomed me like family. I had nothing back at home. Just a small room, no money, no future. My parents died years ago and I've been alone, working odd jobs to survive. When the doctor chose me to be a surrogate, I felt special, like I was part of something important, like I mattered. She paused, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. I saw how you and Madame loved each other. Your home was warm, full of laughter and kindness. I wanted that. I wanted to belong somewhere, to be loved like that. But I knew I was just a surrogate, just there for a while. One night, when you and Madame were in the living room, I overheard when you mentioned, Amaka is just helping us, but she will go back after the baby. That statement really hurt me, sir. It made me feel like I was nothing, like a tool you throw away when you were done. Her voice grew softer, almost breaking. I started noticing things. The way you smiled at Madame, the way you held her hand, the way you called her my love. I wanted that for myself. I know it was wrong, but I couldn't stop the jealousy growing inside me. It was like a fire burning hotter every day. I thought to myself, why can't I have this? Why can't I be the one he looks at like that? Amaka's hand clenched into the fist of her lap. That's when I started doing things. Bad things. I didn't plan it at first. It just happened. I saw Madame keys one day on the table and I hid them under the couch. I wanted her to feel confused, to make her look careless. Then I took her necklace, the beautiful gold you gave her. I hid it in the kitchen drawer, thinking you both argue about it. I wanted you to doubt her, just a little. She looked down at the floor, ashamed. Then I started saying things, twisting her words. Like when she said she was tired from cleaning, I told you she was tired of cooking for you. I wanted you to think she wasn't good enough. I burned the food on purpose when she left it on the stove. I turned the fire up high and blamed her. I saw how disappointed you looked and it felt good, like I was winning. Her tears fell faster now, soaking the front of her dress. The money. Oh God, the money. I saw the envelope in your drawer one day when I was cleaning. I took it and hid it in Madame's wardrobe. I thought if you found it there, you'd think she stole it. I wanted you to stop trusting her, to push her away. I thought if she was gone, you'd see me, you'd love me. Amaka's voice broke into a sob and she pressed her hands to her chest. I was so stupid, sir. I met Stanley through a friend. I paid him to lie to you, to tell you those fake visions about Madame being dangerous. I gave him out of my savings, 500,000 naira, just to make you believe she was bad. When I put that powder in your food, It wasn't meant to kill you. It was supposed to make you sick, to make you think she did it. And then, the charm, sir, I went too far. I got a bundle, red clothes with black thread, filled with herbs and a bone, from a friend. I slipped it into Madame's handbag one day when she was at the market. I thought if you found it, you would believe she was using juju against you, that she was dangerous. I wanted you to fear her, to push her away completely. When you found it, I saw the hurt in your eyes and I felt a twisted joy then. I wanted you to send her away so I could stay in the house, in her place. I also sought diabolical means to get your love. She looked up at Uzo, her eyes pleading. But it all went wrong. When the robbers came, when I fell and lost the baby, her voice cracked into a wail. That baby was my only connection to you. I thought carrying it would make you care about me. But I lost it. I lost everything. And now I see what I've done. I broke your home. I hurt Madame, who was so kind to me. Amaka's body shook with sobs. I'm not a bad person, sir. I swear I am not. I was just lost. I wanted a family so badly. I wanted to be loved, to have a home like yours. But I was wrong. Love doesn't work like that. You can't force it. You can't steal it. Amaka looked at the officer, then back at Uzo. Take me to the courts. Punish me. I deserve it. She buried her face in her hands again, her cries echoing in the quiet station. The officer sighed and wrote something down. Uzo stood frozen, his heart torn between anger and pity. He said nothing, but his eyes glistened with tears as he turned away. Uzo felt like his heart stopped beating. He couldn't speak. The words spun around him. The officer took Amaka away for questioning. Uzo's words shattered like broken glass. He begged the police to let Amaka go. She's been through enough already. She lost the baby, he said. But they said she had to face justice for her lies and tricks. She would go to court. He left the station, tears streaming down his face. He sat in his car outside, hitting the steering wheel. I sent away my innocent wife, he whispered. I believed lies. What have I done? How can I fix this? He drove home, but the house felt empty. He called friends and family, asking if they knew where Amarachi was. Finally, he found out from her cousin. She was at her family's home. Uzo drove to Amarachi's family's village that afternoon. The road was long, weeding through thick trees and dusty paths that kicked up clouds behind his car. He found the compound with its tin roof and small garden bursting with yam and pepper plants. He knocked on the wooden gates, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. Amarachi's mother, a stout woman with a tight headscarf, opened it, her face tanned and eyes narrow. Why are you here, Uzo? She asked, arms crossed tightly. Please, let me see Amarachi, he begged, his voice shaking. I need to make things right. Amarachi was sitting under a guava tree in the garden, sewing a tiny baby shirt with careful stitches. She looked up and saw Uzo standing there, his face tired and full of regrets. Her expression was calm but sad, with no smile to greet him. Uzo knelt in front of her on the soft grass, his eyes wet with tears. Amarachi, I was wrong. I was a fool. I listened to lies from that fake prophet and Amaka. She planned everything. The missing money, the poisoned food, the visions. Please forgive me. I love you. Amarachi looked at him, her heart torn between anger and the love she still felt. She wanted to stay mad, to hold on to the pain of being sent away, but his genuine sorrow softened her. Uzo, you hurt me deeply, she said quietly, her voice steady. You sent me away like I was nothing, like our years together meant nothing. I know, he said, his voice breaking like dry wood. I will spend my life making it right. Please come home. She looked at Uzo, her hand resting on the baby shirt. There's something you need to know, she said with her tone serious. Uzo, already scared of what she might say, swallowed hard. What is it, my dear? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. She took a deep breath and touched her belly gently. Uzo, I'm pregnant, she said. Our baby is coming. Uzo's eyes widened in shock and joy. He laughed and cried at the same time, his face lighting up like a morning sun. Our baby? God is good. He reached for her and she let him hug her tightly. Tears fell from her own eyes too as she felt his love wrapped around her again, warm and familiar. They went home together in his car, the road back feeling lighter than the journey there. Inside, they sat in the living room for hours, rebuilding their trust. Uzo told her every detail of Amaka's confession at the police station, how she admitted to the lies and tricks with Stanley. Amarachi also shared her pain from the months apart, how she found hope in her pregnancy. They laughed about old memories, like their first dates under the mango tree, cried over the lost time, and planned for their child. Months later, Amarachi gave birth to a set of twins, a boy and a girl at the city hospital. The delivery room was filled with her cries and then the baby's wails. Uzo stood by her side, holding her hand, tears streaming as he saw his children. They named them Onyekachi and Onyinyechi. The twins had Amarachi's bright eyes and Uzo's wide smile. The house overflowed with joy as family and friends visited, bringing gifts of clothes, toys, and prayers. The pressure from relatives was gone, replaced with laughter and songs for the new babies. Meanwhile, Amaka faced justice in courts. The judge, a stern woman with silver-rimmed glass, listened carefully to every detail. The payments made to Prophet Stanley, the poisoned food, the hidden money, and the deceit that nearly destroyed the family. Amaka stood in the courtroom with her head down. The judge's word felt like slow heavy drops of rain. You will serve 1 year of community labor, she said firmly. You will also refund the 2 million naira that was paid to you for the surrogacy. She paused, her tone softening slightly. However, considering that you lost your unborn child in the course of these events, the court shows mercy. Your sentence is reduced to 4 months of community labor in recognition of that tragedy. Let this serve as a second chance to rebuild your life the right way. Amaka served her time quietly through community service. Each morning, she swept the hospital corridor and cleaned the clinic where new mothers came in for care, a constant reminder of the life she once carried and lost. In the afternoons, she helped at a tailoring center run by local women where she learned to sew, finding small comforts in the hum of machines and the rhythm of the needle. Her days were long, silent, and humbling. When 4 months was over, she left the town quietly, her head bowed, carrying her shame, and also a fragile hope to begin again. The house felt warm again, full of hope and light. Onyekachi and Onyinyechi's cry filled the room, their tiny hands grabbing at the hair. Uzo and Amarachi took turns rocking them under the mango tree, singing soft lullabies. The pain of the past faded like a bad dream, replaced by the love that grew stronger each day. A heart that seeks love through lies will never find peace. But truth, even when delayed, always finds its way home, stronger than before, carrying the quiet gifts of joy. Thank you for watching.